What's up, guys? The bees knees, the cat's pajamas. Jamie Boom Boom here with two-time Olympian Pam Ware. Let's go. Hey Pam, how are you doing? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You like my intro?
Yes.
It was nice, huh?
It was very nice.
Okay, so you're coming off your Tokyo experience there, guys. Pam Ware, she's an Olympian here in Canada. She's one of our top divers for 2 cycles in a row. So how did you, let's go from the beginning. How did you get into diving?
I started when I was 7, and it's actually a really weird story. It includes ice cream and popsicles. I was in a public pool with my dad and my older sister, and I was like 6 or 5. And he told us that if we did like a front flip off the diving board, he would buy us popsicles. And if we did a back flip, we would go to Dairy Queen.
It's a good deal.
So, I mean, at 6 years old, you do anything for ice cream, right? So obviously we did it.
And then you're like, wait, I have to join a diving club and go to 2 Olympics? Or
Well, one of the lifeguards at the pool was diving in one of the clubs close.
Nice and hot here. It's hot in the studio. Okay, yeah. And then
so she gave us
saw you?
the phone number to a diving club, and that's that.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So then, okay, so now you train with the national team here in Montreal?
Yeah.
And then what's the club you started with?
I started with Agami, and then I moved on to Camo
Okay,
in Montreal.
Camo. And that's like the national team? Is that a national team?
No, Camo is a club that is based out of Saint-Claude-Rabiard. So I trained there for a long time, and then I moved on to now we have our national training center in Montreal at the Olympic Stadium.
Cool. And so you were saying like before you were telling us that you're ranked 6th going into these Olympics.
Yeah, I was in the top 6.
Top 6. Is that the highest rank you've ever had? But you had a medal at the Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
you
had,
know the
but I
world.
mean like overall ranking, I've been top 6, but I've gotten a couple world medals.
Why it's so funny? Pascal. Now you went to Rio. Now what was the experience like in Rio first? Because Rio was a sick Olympics. I mean, your family got to attend. Obviously now your family didn't. What was it like in Rio?
Rio was really fun. My mom and my stepdad were there, and that was honestly the best thing ever.
Wow.
To have my family support me and just being able to go out of the
You could
village.
actually go around and buy stuff and go to the
Yeah,
store.
well, we were able to visit Rio, which was amazing, and go out for dinner and have a bit of fun. But Tokyo, you weren't even allowed out of the village.
Yeah.
You had to wear a mask everywhere. I mean, it was still nice, but it wasn't the same.
But did it feel like, okay, so, I mean, Rio obviously was an Olympics. It's a huge games. You got to like opening ceremonies, closing ceremonies. Now, did they let you go to like any of those ceremonies in Tokyo?
Yeah, they did have
cool.
athletes at opening and closing ceremonies. I decided not to go to opening ceremonies just because
It was near competition?
No, I still had like a week before competing, but I just didn't want to put myself in a situation that could possibly result in COVID. So I decided not to.
Yeah. It's true, because if you test positive, you can't compete.
Exactly.
How often did they test you for COVID in Tokyo?
We were tested every day.
Oh my God.
Every single day. Yeah.
And were you allowed to watch, you said you were only allowed to watch swimming events, like in your bubble events?
Well, we were allowed to go watch all like the other diving competitions, even the ones like you weren't competing in.
Yeah.
And we were technically allowed, no, not allowed, but we went to see some swimming events because they're in the same venue.
Yeah.
So we would arrive earlier before training, and we were able to see their events too. So that was pretty cool.
Okay, so now we're getting into Tokyo. She went to the Tokyo Games. She's just coming back from a nice performance in Tokyo. Well, something happened, but we'll get into that after. So what was the training like leading into Tokyo? Because now it's COVID. If people watch this 100 years down the road somewhere, there was COVID. Obviously, it was a huge pandemic that happened here in the world, and in Montreal was super locked down. So how were you doing your training? Like, what was your training like before Tokyo?
Yeah, well, we started back training in June of 2020. So we were out for like 4 or 5 months. So that was really long training at home.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really hard to find like motivation to keep training at home, because like it started with, okay, we're going to have a couple days off. Okay, 2 weeks. Okay.
That was in 2020, like
2
last
months.
year.
Yeah. So when we were in lockdown, and then we finally got the okay that the pool was going to open. So when it started, we had training groups. So there was like 11 athletes training in the morning, and then 11 athletes in the afternoon. And then the next week it would switch and then switch. So we only had like 1 training a day. And then we finally got the okay to be everyone together. So then our training went back to normal.
Yeah.
And ever since then, we've pretty much had the normal training. So that was really, really nice. It was more just like not knowing when we were going to be competing.
Yeah.
And all that. And all the competitions being postponed or canceled. And then that kind of sucked.
Okay, so I hate to be like a bit ignorant because I come from a wrestling sport. Pascal comes from a taekwondo sport, a team sport. Like not team sports, individual, but you work with a team. But I look at it like you're a diver. You're diving alone. Why do you need like other athletes to practice, or is it a motivation thing? Like why couldn't you dive alone, like one person at practice? Like practice your dives, or do you need to be with your team to practice? Is it like?
I mean, you need your coach.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So you can't just dive by yourself.
Yeah.
And you need a lifeguard because if something happens, you need someone there.
You ever see that meme, like that funny meme where they're like, you ever think your life is useless, and then you see like, imagine you were a lifeguard in the Olympics, like for swimming.
I did see that meme.
That's pretty funny, eh?
Yeah.
So you actually do need a lifeguard when you're diving.
Well, if something happens, like if you hit the board.
I know, but you've dived like so many times. You're such a professional.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that are professionals and
That's
still
true.
make a
That's
mistake and land back on the board.
Okay, so what about silly question? Obviously, that was a silly question, guys. Pascal, don't be ignorant ass. You could take it out. I'm just kidding. What was competition like? Like
in Tokyo?
No, before going to COVID, like before Tokyo. Did you get to compete? Like how'd you qualify?
The qualifications we had already started them in 2019. So at World Championships in 2019.
Yeah.
It was top 12 made their spots for the country. So I came 7th. So I had my spot already.
You were already in?
Yeah, I was. Well, it was the Canada's spot.
Okay.
So
international qualifier. You had to then you had to win Canada.
Yeah, and then we had to qualify within our country. So Jen and I both qualified our spot for the country. So that was done. And then COVID happened. So
2019, yeah.
Yeah, so it was 2019. So 2020, we had started the World Series circuit. So to qualify for World Series, you have to be top 8 at the Worlds before. So and then it's top 8 in the world are able to do World Series.
Yeah.
The first one was in Montreal. And then right after that, so we did it.
Oh, that's cool. It was in Montreal.
It was in Montreal, and then after that, it was done. Like 2 weeks later, we were out.
Everything was shut down.
Everything was shut down.
So did you get to compete once from like COVID till the qualifier?
Yeah,
like,
well, we did a couple virtual competitions.
That's
so
so
we did
weird,
like
eh?
national virtual competitions, and then we did one international. So it was like
international virtual.
Yeah, we did it with Great Britain.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. So they all gathered in London, and we all gathered in Montreal, and we were able to like do like a show off kind of. So that was really cool. And then after that, we went to Tokyo. We got the okay to do our test event in Tokyo, and that was the last qualifiers for the Olympics, and that did not go very well.
Why?
I came 21st. It was really bad.
Out of how many?
Out of like 50, I think.
50.
We were a lot.
That's not that bad.
Yeah, but that shouldn't happen. Like I made a stupid mistake and
so what was your ranking?
on a dive.
You got what?
I got 2s on a dive.
So what's on a scale of what, 10?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not great. No. But anyways, what was your so what'd you get in Rio? What'd you finish?
Rio, I finished 4th in synchro because I was doing synchro with Jennifer.
You almost got the medal.
Yeah, we were not even 1 point away.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was hard.
And then you didn't do synchro this time.
And then I didn't do synchro. And then in individual in Rio, I came 7th.
Individual in Rio 7th, and then individual here
18th.
in Tokyo 18th. Out of how many?
29.
Okay, so we'll get into it right away. You were going into the finals. Like in the preliminary, you did really well.
Yeah, the prelims I did good, and then semifinals not so good.
But you have a dive that you were telling us off air that like it's kind of unique to you. Tell us about this dive.
Yeah, well, it's pretty new. I'm currently the only girl in the world that is competing it. So that was.
So it has like a high difficulty score.
Yeah, it's the highest degree of difficulty that a female is competing at the moment. So I have done it for a couple of years.
What is it?
It's a reverse 1.5 with 3.5 twists.
3 twists in the air, y'all.
3.5 twists.
3.5. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's really fun. I really love that dive, but it's very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So with a little stress and pressure, a lot can go wrong.
Okay, so did you have this dive, this specific dive that only you do in the women's side? Did you have this dive at the trials?
Yeah, I did at trials. In prelims and semis, it went very well. And then in finals, it didn't go very well, but I mean, at least I did it.
Yeah. But there was you were known for doing this dive, and was there a lot of pressure? Like, did you have pressure on you to medal because of this dive?
I wouldn't say it's because of this dive, but there was a little bit of pressure for me to medal because everyone knew, and I knew that it was very possible.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of put a bit of a strain on me and more stress than I should have had. But I mean, I'm usually good at dealing with that. I think this time around, I don't know. It just wasn't my day.
And then, okay, so let's get into it now. So what happened? So you finished the preliminaries, and then you had to do the finals, and you had to...
I had to do the semifinals. I didn't even make finals.
Oh, okay, the semifinals. And that's because now, infamously, you're on, obviously, YouTube. There's tons of views of you kind of walking off the board where you kind of missed... Well, it looked like it looked like kind of like you jumped off. Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened? Like, what's going through your mind when you had this dive? You're in the semifinals in the Tokyo Olympics, and you're supposed to make this dive. Obviously, it's the skill we talked about that only you do. So what happens? What's going through your mind, and what happens?
I do it as my last dive. So we have 5 dives.
Okay.
And I competed as my last one because it's the highest degree of difficulty. So if I do it well, it gives me a lot of points.
But aren't you like tired at that point? Don't you want to like...
No.
No, really? Okay.
No. It just
I would think like...
I get a boost of adrenaline and...
Wow,
my
I love it.
up. But I don't know. That whole event was just really weird for me. I did my first dive. It was beautiful. It was really good. My second one, my knees buckled in my jump.
Oh.
And I was... For sure, I was going to have my butt on the board. Like, I thought I was going to fall.
Yeah.
But I didn't, and I managed to come back and do the dive pretty decent.
What were your scores for those dives before in the semis? Like, what were your scores? Were they high?
Yeah. Like, in prelims, I did really,
Wow.
really good. And then semis, my first one was really good. My second one was, I had that little knee buckle, and it was, I mean, I still got decent scores, so that was fine. My third one was also really good. My fourth one, I kind of over-rotated, so it wasn't very good. And then my last one... We do like our walk, so it's called a hurdle. So I did my hurdle, and then when I jumped to do the last jump before jumping into the pool, I jumped too far forward, and my feet pretty much missed the board. Like, I had only my heels on the board. So the way that this dive works is I have to have like the perfect stand on the board to be able to come back and do the dive, but I was way too forward, so... I mean, you
couldn't adjust this at the moment? You couldn't say, okay, I'm going to back up, or...
No, I couldn't. I was too forward.
Oh, my God.
Like, if I would have stopped, I would have fallen off the board anyways. And if I would have tried the dive, I probably would have not done the dive. Like, I would have not made it.
Yeah.
Or I would have hurt myself. And I don't at my age, you don't want to risk that.
So now you do this jump. You jump off the board. You go in the water. And what's going through your mind, like, when this is happening?
I honestly don't know. Like, I went numb. Like, I was so in shock that I had no emotion. I just walked to the hot tub, and I just sat in the hot tub like blank, just staring. And then I remember I didn't even look at my coach. I just like got out of the pool and walked off. And then he came to the hot tub, kissed me on the head, and left. Yeah. He didn't say anything.
There's nothing really to say.
There's nothing to say, and I wasn't like. Usually, I would be really like. I would have a lot of emotions. I would be angry. I would be sad. Like, I'd be crying because like something bad just happened. But I had nothing. Like, I felt like there was just nothing left in me.
And then you came out on your Instagram after you talked about it like right away.
Yeah.
You addressed it like right away. You didn't hide from it. You said this would happen. Yeah,
because I mean, like I said in the video, like, I'm human. I make mistakes, and this time it just happened that my mistake happened at the Olympics. And I mean, it's stuff that happens, and people, here's my thing. On Instagram, we are told to never post anything negative. We are told to never post when you're injured, to never post a bad dive, which is fine because, I mean, you don't want your competitors to see that you're hurt or that you're not doing very well or whatever. But at some point, like, when it's the Olympics and it's like the stage is so big and there's so many people watching, and then you do a mistake, I think that we need to explain why. But everyone's telling me you don't need to explain yourself. You're fine. You're going to do amazing. You're going to keep going. And I'm like, I understand your point, but my point is that I made a mistake and it's everywhere. I don't want people to just be like, oh, she gave up. No, I didn't give up. And I needed to explain that. And
what was the feedback like after you kind of explained it? Like, it
was very overwhelming. Like, everyone was so nice. I don't think I got, like, on my Instagram post, I didn't get any bad comments. Or if I did,
I messaged you right after because I've known you personally, and I was like, man, that was awesome that you did that, because I know I felt so bad you seeing this type. But then I started thinking, I even told you off air, like, any publicity is good publicity. Look, people are talking about it, whether it's you or whether it's diving or the sport or something. Like, it's putting eyes towards it. Look at Simone Biles. I mean, she just went through hell.
That's the thing. Like, people tied my story in with Simone Biles, and I was like, okay, I understand. Because I did that video, people think it was a mental health issue.
Oh, yeah, it's true. I wasn't associating it that way. I was just associating
No, I know, but people
two
did.
People that had to talk about what happened.
Yeah, a lot of people associated with that because they're like, oh, she said that she didn't want to hurt herself, so she decided that that was the best decision for her. True. But it's just like something that happened so quick in the moment that I was just like, I don't know. I don't.
So it's not like you don't attribute it to mental health. You don't attribute it to an injury or something. It's
No,
just
it
really
was just a mistake.
It was a mistake. Yeah.
It was a mistake.
And what do you think of like Simone Biles' situation? Like, do you have a comment on that, or
No comment.
not really? Eh?
No comment.
Yeah, because we want to talk about it too, but I was like, I'm torn because Pascal made a good point to me, and I was talking about it. He was saying how like, well, you've never been in that spot. Like, if you've never been to the Olympics or in that spot or with that much pressure on you, you can't say everybody's situation is different. So you can't say, and then you can't say like, oh, I would have, toughed it out or something. And then I've talked to gymnasts who say, well, when you have that issue in the air,
Yeah, no, I've had
that's
that
issue.
issue.
Oh, that you guys get the twisties too?
Yeah.
And what happens
had
with that? You just have to take a few weeks and kind of get it back and reverse engineer it, I guess, or.
Okay, I have kind of like, because I started a YouTube channel, I kind of stopped it, but I had during COVID, I made a video of my fears in my sport.
Guys, Pam Ware's YouTube channel. We're going to get it back going here.
So I talked about my fears in my sport and how there's a lot of dives that terrify me, but I still do them.
Really?
And there was one dive that I put in that video that I hadn't done in over 10 years, and I did it. And I still
For the video?
No, not for the video.
Okay.
Like, my coach was like, I think this would be a really good dive for you to redo.
But what is scary about it?
It's just like, I don't know. There's one day that for some reason my mind just blocked and I couldn't do it anymore. No matter how hard I would try to do that dive, my body wouldn't do it, which is weird because usually, like, for me anyways, like, I usually clear my mind and my body knows what to do. I'd be like, okay, I'm doing this dive, like I'm doing a front 1.5 and my body just does it by itself. But this dive, like, for some reason, I'd jump and my body would freeze.
Yeah. So you've been through that experience before?
Yeah, 100%. And it's scary.
I've spoken to gymnasts before, and they said, like, and even myself, I mean, I just do it for cross training, but like when you do a front tuck, and then after, for some reason, that, like, sometimes you just can't do it anymore that day. Your body's done. Like, you've experienced that. Your body's just done. You can't. So I couldn't imagine doing 3 twists or like this is really, really high level difficulty stuff.
Yeah, and to learn that dive, like the 3 twists, was really scary for me because I do get lost a lot in the air doing twists. And I have in the past a lot, and I've tried a lot of dives with twists, and I've gotten lost and confused and like mental blockage, as we call it.
Yeah.
So learning this dive was very, very hard.
So what made you put it in your routine? Like, was it just?
Well, I mean, once it clicked, right?
Ah, okay.
So once I finally not got over it, because I'm still really scared to do it, but I love the dive. I mean, once the fear of getting past the fear, then I was like, okay, I'm okay.
But what do you do when that happens? When you get the twisties, or when you lose or you get the fear, you're blocking. How do you deal with it?
I just try over and over and over again until I.
Yeah, it's such a crazy thing. People don't even think about that because you watch the Olympics. We watch your sport, diving, once every 4 years, and we think, oh, these people are so good. But there's so much that goes into it, right?
Yeah,
there's so much training. And
I also said this in the video. I said, you guys only see what we do in the competition. You don't see what we do at home. You don't see what we do at training. Like, you don't know how much we train for this. You don't know, we can talk about it, but we talk about, only small things.
Yeah.
So.
And it's hard, too, because, people, like you said, we sit off air, people really want to follow the winners, but there's stories about everybody. Like, everybody has a story that's competing or not. You were talking about the diver Kwang Hong Chan who has the perfect tens. Like, all she wanted is her mom to be.
She just wants money she said that she wanted money for her mom because she's in the hospital and she's really sick.
Yeah,
so I found that really
sad,
cute.
Yeah.
There's also Shi Ting Mao, the Chinese girl who won my event.
Okay.
She opened up about a depression that she was going through for the last 2 years, and she kind of locked herself away from her family, and everyone was super worried about her. Yeah. So she opened up about that too. So it's not only
I can't, and Chinese too. I wouldn't expect Chinese to talk about that because usually it seems like they don't get to.
Exactly. So that's why
express.
It was a big thing this year. It was.
Even I saw there were so many stories we were talking about here. There was even the Belarusian runner. Who do you see that? Yeah, she she couldn't even compete because apparently she spoke out against her coach. So she sought refuge at the Polish embassy in Tokyo, and now she's living in Poland, and they're gonna give her citizenship and stuff, and all because she spoke out against the coach, and something was gonna happen to her, so she feared for her life.
Wow, I didn't know about that. That's crazy.
And now thankfully she's in Poland, and she's gonna be able to compete for them. She'll probably get an immigrant status or something. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened. There's a lot of stories that happened. There's even the we covered a bit the transgender the transgender Olympic lifter. I mean, and there was like a trans athlete on the women's soccer team, I think.
Yeah, in the soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? That's pretty cool, right?
I find that really cool. Like, I think that needs to be a more open thing, because I mean,
they need to compete.
They need to compete, and if, let's say, I wanted to identify as a male, then I should be allowed to. So.
Yeah. Is there any trans divers right now?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know. No. Yeah. So what's next? I mean, you talked to us. What's next? What's next for Pamela? Where do you go from here after performing in 2 Olympics? Now you had some time to sit back, think about it. It's been about a week and a half that you're back.
Yeah.
What's going to be the next?
Well, I'm just going to take a couple more weeks off and then back to training.
Really?
Back to training.
That's so cool. So
you
go
for my 3rd Olympics.
3rd Olympics, man. We're so proud of you. That's good. That would be so cool if you did 3. Together, Pascal and I are still trying to get that 1 combined. So we'd like to. I think it's going to be Pascal. So you're going to do a 3rd Olympics. So have you spoken to your coach? You're just kind of you're creating have some bit distance now, kind of resting a bit.
We talked a bit after the event, like the night of. That was a really rough conversation, but it went really well. He kind of put the blame on him, and I tried to take it back, because he was trying to say, like, what could I have done better so that this mistake wouldn't have happened? I said, it's not you. Like, it has nothing to do with you. It's just me in that moment. That's what happened. Like, that's that. So we had a long conversation, and he told me to take 3 weeks off, and then we'll talk after. Yeah. So
are you going to enjoy yourself now? Like, you told me you ate some piz. That's the French pizza word.
Yeah, I love pizza. So the first meal I had after my event was pizza.
And you're a baker.
And I'm a baker. I made some
great
cookies. I make great cookies.
Yeah. So now it's just, I guess, just relaxing. You told me you're going to get to do some crazy stuff. You're going bungee jumping and doing stuff that obviously you couldn't do.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So
enjoy
tomorrow,
your summer a bit.
Yeah, tomorrow I'm going with a friend. She goes to this bridge, and she's a high diver. So she competes with Red Bull.
You guys are crazy, man.
So I'm going to go jump off
with
a bridge.
Red Bull? Like, she does the extreme stuff?
Yeah. So I'm going to go jump off a bridge with her tomorrow, and I'm really excited. And then I'm going bungee jumping on Wednesday, but don't tell my mom. She'll kill me.
Oh my God. That's so crazy. Well, that's Pam Ware. Pam Ware is going to be, you'll see her around the city jumping off buildings and bridges and all kinds of stuff. That's going to be your next thing, your next event. Yeah. So if you weren't a diver in the Olympics, what would be your sport? Would you wrestle with us, or what would be your sport?
I would probably do gymnastics.
Yeah. Oh, it's true.
Or like figure skating. Like, I'd go winter.
Yeah. Oh, winter's fun. Yeah. Have you ever played any other sports?
Not really.
Not really?
Not really.
You were you weren't allowed to do anything else?
Yeah. I'm really prone to injury, so just stay away.
I think but when you get to that level, when you get to a high level, I think everybody has to deal with that. How did you deal with injuries before Tokyo?
Before Tokyo, I was actually pretty good. I didn't have any pain. But then for some reason, 3 days before my event, I couldn't even lift my shoulder or my arm or my head. So that was a big stress, because I have a torn labrum in my shoulder. I have tendinitis. I have everything you can imagine in my shoulder possible. I get cortisone every 6 months.
But you could talk about your injuries here, because in other sports, like in wrestling, we would never tell our opponent because you're fighting against someone. But who cares? The whole world could know if you're injured, right? It's not the same thing, right?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, because you're competing against...
if I'm able to dive, then I'm able to dive.
Yeah.
It's not gonna... If I'm at a competition, it's because I'm ready to be at that competition. If I'm injured or not. So...
That's so interesting. I don't know, in Taekwondo, is it do you guys hide injuries from people? Yeah. I would never tell anybody about my injuries ever.
Well, I mean, a lot of people... My shoulder, I've been injured since 2008, so everyone knows about my shoulder. I have other injuries that people don't know about.
Oh, okay.
But my shoulder, everyone knows it anyways, so...
Is the world of diving super competitive? Are the people competitive with each other? Are you guys friends? Because you're kind of competing against your teammates who are people you're winning the Canadian spot for.
It's actually diving's like a big family. Everyone's pretty close. Out of
But you said
every
you
country.
even talk to some of the athletes in the other countries too?
Oh yeah, for sure. All the time.
That's crazy. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Do you talk to your Pascal? Do you talk to your opponents on the other countries or something? You gotta fight them.
Yeah. Well, we hug after.
We hug after. Yeah.
Too,
Yeah, you hug after, but you still, there's some people still on the national team,
but
in
for
wrestling,
us,
I wouldn't speak to.
For us during training, we're all just standing there behind the diving board.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? You're
That's
not gonna
true.
not talk to the person next to you.
How much time do you have between dives at an event?
In an event, it could be. It depends. In prelims, when we're 30 people, it could be 20 minutes.
Oh, because you gotta wait.
Pretty long.
Everybody, yeah.
But at World Series, if we're only 8, it's pretty quick, 5 minutes.
Oh, and what do you do? Do you work with, what do you do to get in the mental zone for that dive? Do you work with someone? Do you work with any like any mental preparation coaches or any sports
No, I
psychologists or
don't.
anything?
I don't.
Man,
There's a lot of people who do,
probably,
but I don't.
yeah, because it's hard, right? You gotta like psych yourself up for that one movement. You know, like me and Pascal, we do like martial arts and like those kind of combat sports where you make a mistake, you can get right back into there. But it's everything, that one performance.
The one dive.
You just like, what do? You just clear your mind, or like, what's Pam Ware's strategy for?
I like listening to music, so I have
that's
like when
cool.
there's music on the board, I'll like dance and sing around to it. Like you'll see me go like this,
Ah.
which people find are funny, but I mean, I like it. I mean,
But I like what you
it clears my mind, because if I overthink, like it that's doesn't work for me.
Yeah, but
Like,
it's
I
awesome
can't
what you
be
said
like-
before. You said you're like your body knows how to do the
Yeah.
dives.
But that's also what I tell a lot of people, because people are like, "Oh, I'm really stressed. What happens?" I'm like, "That's not gonna happen." I'm like, if you never do that in training, why would you do that in competition?
That's true.
Like, just calm down, relax,
Mhm.
and just let your body do it. Like it knows.
Do you
how.
coach?
I don't.
Oh, we need you. We need you pushing that onto the younger people. You know, you got to be the
Mhm.
person who sees the young girl in the pool and be like, hey, you can do this dive, and then recruit. You got to go on
I
like
don't
a
know if I want to be a
mission.
coach, honestly.
No,
I
huh?
don't think I would.
The
I don't know.
patience. It takes patience.
Oh, I'm very patient, but I
Okay.
don't think I would. I don't know. I don't think I would be a good coach. I don't
Yeah.
know why.
I think you would. I think you're selling yourself short.
I don't know.
I think you're selling yourself short. You'd be a nice coach. Yeah. So okay. So you did 2 Olympics. How many like world championships? Did you go to the worlds that were in the aquatic worlds that were in Montreal?
In 2005.
Oh no! Wasn't there one like recently? I thought there was one like 2016 or 17.
Diving, no.
Oh, it's probably swimming. Is swimming and diving the same?
No.
It's not. Okay. Got
Well,
mixed up.
There's every 2 years there's a World Aquatic Championships, so it's all the aquatic sports.
Okay.
How
How many worlds have you been to?
I've been since 2012.
Every one?
Yeah.
Wow. And then what other games have you been to? Have you been to like Commonwealth?
I've
or
been
Pan
to
Ams?
Commonwealth Games, so I did 2010.
I was there.
You were there.
Mm-hmm.
2010, 2014, and then everyone since 2010.
14 was in Australia or Scotland or something?
It
Scotland.
was in Scotland,
Yeah.
and then after it was Australia.
How'd you do at those?
In 2010, I did pretty good. I mean, I did every single event possible.
Oh my
Yeah, I
God.
was super young, so I did every event possible. 10 meter,
Just
10
hungry.
meter synchro, 3 meter.
10
3
meter?
meter
You've done 10
I
meter?
did 10 meter.
You're not afraid of heights? Obviously not.
No.
You're going.
I mean, I was just there for the experience, but
Mhm.
I think I came like 7th or something overall. Like I didn't do too bad, but I wasn't.
Did you
there to
medal
get a
in
medal.
2014 at the games?
I did in synchro
Oh, okay, cool.
with Jennifer. We came 2nd, I believe.
Nice.
But I don't remember much from that competition. I think I kind of in my individual event I did really bad, and I think I just like blocked.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then in 2018 in Australia, I came 4th.
Those are fun though. I like the Commonwealth Games. You got
They are
4
very
whatever.
fun. They're
Yeah,
very
I
fun.
like Commonwealth. I always love Commonwealth, and I couldn't believe when I went how many countries are in the Commonwealth. It's like, who are all these countries? Like little countries like Isle of Man
Mhm.
and
It's
all
fun.
kinds of like
It's a lot of
like-
fun.
South Pacific countries that you don't even know about. I thought it was
Mhm.
fun. What about like Pan Am Games? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, I've done 2. So I did Peru and I did Toronto.
Oh, Toronto was
Yeah.
cool. Did you medal in Toronto?
I did. I got
Oh, nice.
two silver medals in Toronto, and then I got a gold medal in synchro. Okay, in Peru I did synchro with Jennifer, but we hadn't done synchro since Rio.
Oh my God, that was 2
Yeah.
years.
Yeah,
So then, how did you guys? We just
it was
practice?
actually we practiced once before the event and we won the event.
Get out
It was so much fun.
because you guys just know each other.
Yeah.
But why didn't you do synchro? Like, do you mind asking? Why didn't you do synchro this time? At these Olympics?
Because after Rio, I had surgery on my foot because I was diving with a broken foot for 3 years.
Oh my God.
So I got surgery, and then for the time that I was missing out, missing competitions, Melissa joined Jennifer to do synchro, and they were just really, really good. So they just decided to put that together.
And there's no co-ed synchro.
There
Queen
is
synchro
there
diving.
is at Worlds. There is in like
Let's do it,
World
Pascal.
Series.
We're doing it. We're going to co-ed synchro. One of us is gonna join her. I want to get a medal at one of these events. Can we do
They
it?
don't
like,
have it at the Olympics yet, though.
But could we do it like I want to go to the Worlds and I want you to like do all this? Could we do like you do all the skill and I just kind of jump in there?
No, I think we would get 0.
Oh, so that's it, Pam. I guess we'll end there. Thank you so much for talking to us about that. Obviously, it
having
was
me.
it was super fun. Except for the heat, it's like 40 degrees in here.
You're just dripping.
I'm like dripping sweat. Yeah, I mean that's it. It was awesome that you talked about what happened to you because a lot of athletes don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And it was great to see like that side of you. We hope obviously to see more of Pam Ware. We hope you continue your YouTube channel. If you need any help we're always here. And I mean, that's it. Do you have anybody that you want to thank about this? I mean, obviously, it takes a whole team to
Oh
bring
my
you to
God,
two
it
Olympics.
takes everybody. Like, I can't even begin to
Everybody
start
in your
naming
life?
everybody. Like, there's just way too many people.
Who was the diver that you looked up to the most when you were growing up?
Roselyne Filion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so she did Rio with me,
Yeah.
and I was training with her pretty much my whole life, but and then she retired after Rio, and everyone on the team was like, oh my God, like our support is gone, because
Our
she
leader.
was always there for everybody, but she works in the media now, and she was working
Shout out.
with Radio Canada, I think, at the Olympics. So she was actually there at the pool
Oh, cool.
in Tokyo. So like after our event, we would go and talk to her. And that was a little
Nice.
hard to get interviewed by
Yeah,
her, because I
yeah.
mean, she knows us personally, right? So it was a little emotional,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, it was good to have her there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, we hope to see you around. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you, guys. That's Pamela Ware. Peace.